Beast games could quite possibly destroy YouTube, and it's actually not in any of the ways that you might expect. But so that we can understand why this might happen, we first need a tad bit of context. Context to what, you may ask? Well, how YouTube came to be what it is today. Because if you're a longtime viewer of YouTube, you'll know that it wasn't always like this. YouTubers never really had the high budget production videos that they do today. No one would have ever dreamed that something like Beast games could have come from YouTube. Instead, 99.9% of the time, it was just some dude in his bedroom with a camera trying to make the most entertaining videos possible. In fact, this is how a lot of OG creators got their first millions of subscribers on YouTube. And YouTube was actually like this for a long time. YouTubers around that time didn't make videos with the intention of becoming a celebrity or making a ton of money because they didn't even realize that that was an option. The only way to really become a celebrity around that time was like TV and traditional media and whatnot. Everyone just thought YouTube was a fun place to make and share videos, which it was. And they also thought that it wasn't going to be around for very long. But YouTube surprisingly continued to grow more and more, and it gained a ton of attention. And where attention is, money also follows. So brands started placing ads before YouTube videos, therefore allowing these random people who were sharing videos on the internet to start earning money from it. This led a ton of creators to start thinking how they can get more views rather than just doing it for fun. And this also led to the creation of these almost mini celebrities on the platform, aka YouTubers. As time went on, YouTube grew more and more, and some creators gained massive audiences. In fact, creators like Logan Paul and PewDiePie would actually begin to pull in more views than massive TV networks. Everything was great, everyone was making money, and YouTubers were having fun making videos. But then something interesting happened. Around this time, most of the channels on YouTube were either people vlogging with their handheld camera, let's plays, or these weird 3 a.m. videos. Nothing really had too high of a production value, but the people on the platform who were making these videos were pulling in insane views. Enough views to where it started gaining the attention of traditional media. You know, those people up at the top who are making Hollywood movies and stuff, those people. They figured that if these people on YouTube were getting a ton of viewership over there, then if they brought them over to traditional media and made a TV show or something about them, then they would get the same amount of viewership. Huh, a YouTuber making a TV show. That sounds a bit familiar. You could actually look back and see the few attempts that traditional media took to try and capture that YouTube audience. A few examples are the Smosh movie and the Nickelodeon Dude Perfect show. Wait, is it just me or does anyone else remember this show? Well, probably not a lot of you because the show was an absolute flop. Like, this show didn't do nearly as good as the producers intended it to. And I think there's a very specific reason to why the show didn't do too well. I think it's because they didn't give the dudes 100% creative control over how the show went. It was the show that Nickelodeon wanted it to be, not the show that Dude Perfect wanted it to be. They didn't really trust in the dude's ability to produce good enough content on their own. And you can't really blame them for thinking this way because a lot of the people on YouTube weren't really producing content at the level that they are today. Like, some of them were literally just people with handheld cameras. But stuff like this sort of leaves creators in a bad rut because Hollywood just doesn't believe that YouTubers do well on TV, when it's only the way that they went about it that doesn't work. The people that understand how to make content for Dude Perfect's audience better than anyone else in the world is Dude Perfect. But now let's fast forward a few years and see this other creator start making his way into the scene. His name is Mr. Beast. And unlike the sort of meta on YouTube at the time, which was bragging about your mansions, vlogging, and 3 a.m. videos, Mr. Beast took a completely different approach to doing YouTube. Instead of him buying Lambos and mansions with all his YouTube money, he started putting every penny back into his videos. The quality of his videos were going up exponentially, and as Mr. Beast grew, he treated his channel like a business. In fact, he treated his channel exactly the same way that you'd treat a startup. And at the time, everyone thought Mr. Beast was just this rich kid who was giving away all his money to look rich or something. But little did everyone know that he was actually this really smart dude who was reinvesting every penny back into his videos. And because he was doing this, every single video got more views than the last. Something that Mr. Beast also put a ton of priority into was his video ideas. He was actually one of the first creators to use outliers to come up with his video ideas. An outlier is a video that performed way better than the average views on a channel. For example, let's say that you average 10,000 views a video, but then you have a video that gets 100,000 views. That's an outlier. And judging by this outlier, we can assume that there was something in this video that people really liked. And we can try and find what that is to come up with more viral ideas. I personally look at outliers a ton when I come up with video ideas. And I recently started using this really cool website to help me find outliers. It's called 1 of 10, but how does it work? Well, all you need to do is put in your filters. So I want to find videos that are 5x outliers, meaning that I want to find videos that performed 5 times better than the average views on a channel. And you can mess with a ton of other stats, but I just want to make sure that the videos have been uploaded within the last year. Then I just put in a keyword. Let's say that I'm trying to come up with ideas for a Lego channel. Then we hit enter. And now we have a ton of outliers to take inspiration from. Coming up with viral ideas is such a hard thing to do, but it becomes a lot easier with 1 of 10 because you're able to find viral formats and ideas that could have been really hard to find without 1 of 10. So click the link in the description and use code TREE to get 50% off. And thank you to 1 of 10 for sponsoring this video. As Mr. Beast became more and more popular, you started to see this new wave of YouTube channels. Instead of going around and filming with a handheld camera, people started building out entire production teams to help them with their videos. People hardly posted once a day anymore because the production was just much too high for that to work. And yes, these were still all individual creators, but they started running their channels the same way a massive company would be run. Countless other channels started to join suit with this new style of running a YouTube channel and tried to recreate the success that Mr. Beast had. In fact, just about every single top channel on YouTube right now is run by teams of 50 to 100 people. And some of these channels you can clearly see where they got the inspiration from, creating this new term that a lot of people like to call Mr. Beastification, or just like the corporatization of YouTube. I don't know, the definition's kind of blurry. A lot of people see the corporatization of YouTube in a super bad light, and it's easy to judge it if you see it at face value. People are making these super high production videos to keep you absolutely glued to the screen, and all these oversaturated thumbnails look exactly the same, with the face in them. Yes, I agree, it doesn't look good at face value, and some of these thumbnails are kind of strange to say the least. But through this Mr. Beastification, YouTube has kind of gotten a better reputation for itself. Not that old YouTube had a bad reputation to it or anything, but traditional media never really trusted in a creator's ability to produce good content, simply because creators never really had the reputation of running something of such high production value. But today, just about every top creator is running a massive media company, and some of them, in my opinion, make better content than traditional media does. But now being a creator has more of a professional tone to it. But what does this all have to do with how Beast Games could destroy YouTube? Well, even though the job of being a creator has become a more professional endeavor, there is still this sort of stigma in between YouTubers and traditional media. Massive streaming platforms are still extremely skeptical to just let YouTubers on and run their own show, because they don't really 100% trust in a creator's ability yet to produce something that's good enough for TV. They still kind of have that idea that YouTubers are just people in their bedroom making videos, not people who have a great understanding of how media and entertainment works. In fact, the idea of Beast Games was brought up many years ago, but Mr. Beast was simply just turned down by multiple streaming platforms. And even though he was the biggest creator on YouTube, they still did not trust in his ability to produce a good TV show. And if they did offer him a deal to create the show, they would not give him creative control over everything.
It's interesting too, because if I go to them, I'm like, hey, just for fun, that's like, hey, you want to give me some money to produce a TV show? And I'm like, no. It's like, oh. We've just gotten so much bigger where platforms are taking us more seriously. A deal for me back then to do something on a streaming platform would have been, they tell me what I spend the money on. They tell me like what this thing is. Like I would have to write the whole show line by line, borderline script it, and then they'd have to go through and redline it. And then like all this stupid stuff, like there would have been no creative control. It's cliche, but I didn't have the leverage to say, hey, I know what I'm doing. Look, just trust me.
When it came to the negotiation, what was most important to you? Money, creative control, ownership.
The first one's easy, creative control.
And this is really, to the best of my knowledge, the first time that a creator has gotten 100% creative control over something that's going on traditional media. I could be wrong though. Editor fact check that. So you can imagine how this will send massive ripple effects across the entire platform. If it does good, streaming platforms and traditional media will have a lot more trust in creators. But on the other hand, if this is a flop, oh boy, it's not going to be good. That will essentially mean that the best person in the world at making YouTube videos can't even make something that is successful on TV. It will have massive negative ripple effects across the entire platform, and traditional media will just not trust us to make anything good ever again. In fact, Mr. Beast talked about this same thing on the Cullen and Samir podcast.
Obviously, if this show doesn't do well, then it's like, oh, he's just, a YouTuber. This is why I'm putting so much effort and energy into it, because like if this flops, then people are gonna be like, yeah, YouTubers aren't capable of, making it on streaming platforms. And I recognize it could either have a massive positive effect and that every streaming platform is gonna be throwing deals left and right at creators, or a negative effect and people are gonna go, if Jimmy couldn't make a hit show, what makes you think you can? And like that is one of my biggest fears is the inverse, which is why I'm not gonna let that happen.
But at the end of the day, I don't think we need to worry. The trailer looks pretty sick. Anyways, subscribe so I can get to 100,000 subscribers. We are literally almost halfway there. And also go follow my Instagram. I have almost 40,000 subscribers on YouTube and like 300 Instagram followers. So can someone go and change that, please? Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyways, bye.